meet you all on our mats. Let's find a comfortable seated position. If you are looking for a block or a pillow, you can grab that now to sit on. And we'll just spend a second here coming to stillness. And maybe spend a moment becoming aware of your posture, letting yourself really root through the hips, let the shoulders fall away from the ears. Nice, tall, long spine. Maybe pretend like there's a string attached to your head. It's just gently lifting you up. Letting your vertebrae all stack here. And then we'll start to bring our awareness to our breath. Just inhaling, exhaling, paying attention to that and acknowledging it. Letting your mind also come to stillness. And as we're here, let's think of an intention for today's practice. A little goal that you like to keep in mind and remind yourself of. And on the next breath, with that intention in mind, let's inhale the arms up to the sky. We'll interlace the fingers. Exhale to the right side. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, slight back bend, open up the chest. On the next exhale, we'll actually send those fingers out in front of us, walking forward. We'll walk the fingers over to the right side. And through the center over to the left. Back to center. Maybe walk them forward just a little bit more. See if you can stretch those fingers out another inch. And then we'll gently walk our hands back up to our tall torso. From here, if you are on a block or a pillow, let's remove that. We'll place our hands on the mat and send the knees around into a tabletop position. Start here by stacking the hips over the knees, the shoulders over the elbows and the wrists. And let's begin with the right wrist. We're going to rotate that so the fingers are towards us, and gently, if you'd like a little bit more of a stretch, you can pull backwards on the wrist to get that. We'll flip the hand over so the back of the hand is on the mat, palm is up towards us. And bring that hand back to its normal position on the mat. Same thing with the left hand, so we'll rotate the fingers inside towards us. And then we'll bring the back of the hand to the mat, stretching the back of the wrist. And rotate that hand back to its normal position on the mat. Let's inhale the right arm up to the sky, opening up the chest. And exhale the right hand underneath the left, threading the needle. One more breath here. And then we'll bring that right hand back to the mat. Inhale the left arm up to the sky. And exhale the left hand through the right. One more breath. And then we'll bring that hand back to our tabletop position. Next, we'll start off with our cat-cow flow. So just warming up the spine, inhaling as you drop the stomach, looking up to the sky. Exhaling as you arch the back, tucking the tailbone and the chin. Inhaling in cow. Exhaling in cat. And just moving to your own pace, your own breath. Just waking up the spine for the morning. Letting it move gently before everything else happens today. And maybe one or two more breaths here. We'll come back to stillness, back to the neutral spine. From here, let's take some hip circles. So maybe to the right side first. Just allowing your hips to move laterally as well as forward and back. You're welcome to start out slower or smaller circles, and then start to get bigger or faster. Just exploring the range of motion. And we'll switch directions to the left side. And if both sides aren't quite the same, that's totally fine. That's normal. We'll do maybe one or two more. And then we'll come back to our neutral spine and back to stillness. From here, let's tuck the toes. We'll lift the hips into our downward dog. It's our first downward dog today, so it's okay to walk out the dog, dropping one heel and then the other. Also, at any point in downward dog, you're totally welcome to be bending the knees. If you are walking out the dog, we'll start to bring that to stillness. Let's inhale the right leg up to the sky. And step it forward into a lunge. We'll just hold this lunge for just a second. Maybe bring your awareness to the back hamstring. See if you can pretend like there's a string lifting it up to the sky. And see how that changes your pose. On the next breath, let's drop the left knee to the mat. In a low lunge. Maybe this changes the pose a little bit for you. Maybe it doesn't. Next, we'll inhale the arms and the torso up to the sky. Slight back bend here into crescent pose. And anytime we're in a back bend, we just want to make sure the core is engaged too. And exhale those hands to the mat. We'll start to straighten the front leg, walking the hands back, walking the hips back into a reverse lunge. Really focusing in on that right hamstring. And I'm pretty tight right now. I don't know about you guys, but if you can, you're welcome to be dropping your hips all the way down to the mat. And wherever you're at, let's just walk those hands back into our lunge. We'll bring that right foot over to the left side into a half pigeon pose. You're welcome to keep your torso tall here with both your hands on the mat. Just enjoying the stretch. You're also welcome to drop onto your elbows if you prefer that. Or for a secondary stretch in the left quad, you can always bring your right hand to the center of the mat and reach back with the left to grab the left foot into a full pigeon. We'll be here for a moment, so you have plenty of time to stay in whichever one you'd like or to explore multiple. And on the next breath, if you're on your elbows or wherever you're at, we'll just bring both those hands back in front of us on the mat. We'll tuck the left toes and step back to the plank. We'll hold this for just a second, not too long, just long enough to engage the core. And then lower down all the way to the mat. You can untuck the toes here. Just bring the left hand in front of us so the left forearm is parallel to the edge of our mat. We'll reach back with the right hand to the right foot. And we'll start by just gently pulling that right foot in towards us for a little bit of a quad stretch. And on the next breath, inhale, reaching that right leg out, stretching the right pec, and a half wheel. Exhale, let's release that to the mat. You can place your right cheek on the mat for just a second. Give yourself a moment to rest. On the next breath, we'll lift back up, bringing that right forearm in front of us, parallel to the edge of our mat. Reaching the left hand back behind us. We'll squeeze that left foot in towards us. A little bit of a quad stretch. And on the next breath, inhale, reaching that foot out behind us like it's trying to escape. And exhale, release that back to the mat. You can rest your left cheek on the mat for just a moment. On the next breath, we'll bring both those hands underneath our shoulders once again. Tuck the toes, and we'll lift up into a tabletop position. And through the tabletop, tuck the toes, lift the hips up into a downward dog. We won't spend super long here. On your next breath, let's inhale, lifting the left leg up to the sky. And step that forward into a lunge. Just gently letting our hip flexors start to stretch out here. Once again, it might help to remember that back hamstring and try and straighten it. Let's drop the right knee to the mat. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely slacked off over break and my hip flexors are tight. Just inhale, arms and the torso up to the sky. Crescent pose. And exhale those hands to the mat. We'll straighten the front leg, walking the hands and the hips back into a reverse lunge. isolating that hamstring on the left side. Like I said last time, you're welcome to drop those hips however low is comfortable for you and getting you the right amount of stretch. Let's walk the hands back, forward into our lunge. And we'll bring that left foot over to the right side, dropping into a half pigeon. Once again, you're welcome to stay here on your hands with the tall torso. You're also welcome to drop onto your elbows or place the left hand in the center of the mat, reaching back for the right quad stretch. You can totally jump around between these as well. I'll give you just a few minutes. Let's play around with that. And on the next breath, wherever you're at, let's bring both our hands in front of us on the mat. We'll tuck the right toes and step back to a plank. Once again, not for super long, just for a minute. Not like a full minute, just like a moment. Don't want to worry you guys there. Then we'll drop to our knees and start to drop the hips back on the feet, stretching the hands out in front of you into a child's pose. Letting your fingers stretch out. You can make this pose however active or passive you'd like. For more active pose, you'll be wanting to walk your fingers forward, engaging your arms and your hands. Let's walk our fingers over to the right side. Letting the left side body stretch out. And we'll walk our fingers over to the left. Getting that stretch on the right side. And back to center. Maybe walking the fingers just a little bit forward. On the next breath, we'll slowly start to walk our hips back up into our tabletop position. From here, we're going to do something really similar, but not quite the same. So we'll start by just dropping the head, letting it fully relax. And keeping the back just a little bit rounded. Keeping the head just hanging here. I'm going to start to bring the hips back. And maybe you're starting to feel a little bit of a stretch. As you bring your hips back towards your heels, and maybe you don't make it quite to your heels, or maybe you do. Just listen to your body here. Then we'll come back to our tabletop position. If you want, you can go through a cycle of cat-cow. Now that we've stretched out the back, just bringing it back to your neutral spine. On the next breath, let's tuck our toes. Then we'll slowly walk our hands back, dropping our hips on our toes for fire toes. You're totally welcome to keep your hands on the mat. And a little bit of weight off your toes if you'd like. As you're here, maybe remind yourself of your intention. And just breathe into the stretch. This is really uncomfortable for you. Like I said, you're also welcome to keep your hands on the mat. And 1 or 2 more breaths here in honor of our feet. And then let's untuck those toes, swing the legs around, come to a seated position on the mat. Just allow yourself to come to stillness here. Come back to your breath. Maybe remind yourself of your intention. Decide if it's time to take that with you throughout the rest of the day, or time to find a new one. And with your decision in mind, let's inhale those arms up to the sky. We'll exhale in the heart center. Thank you guys for practicing with me. Namaste.